Do you know which style of welding to pick for your next project, or do you always use the style that you first learned? In this presentation, I will be going over the three main types of welding and discussing the advantages and disadvantages of each to help you pick the correct type. The first type of welding I will be discussing is stick welding. Stick welding uses an electric arc to melt materials before joining them together. The welding material used is a rod or stick that has a flux coating to protect the welds. Stick welding can be done outdoors and in windy conditions, as there is no gas to protect the weld. It is also more forgiving when welding on dirty or rusty metal and can be done on thicker materials. The biggest disadvantage of stick welding is that it's difficult to learn and use. This method also requires you to change the rod frequently as you run out of material to use. Because of the flux coating on the rod, stick welding emits significant spatter that you must clean upon finishing the weld. The next type of welding I will be discussing is MIG welding. Metal inert gas welding, or MIG for short, uses an electric arc to melt materials before joining them together, similar to stick welding. While stick welding uses a rod that must be replaced, MIG welding uses a spool of wire that is fed automatically as you are welding. These spools can have the flux in the wire, or you can use gas to protect your welds. MIG welding is the easiest type of welding to learn and can create extremely clean welds on many different types of metal with little cleaning. You can also achieve high welding speeds with better control on thick or thin materials. The biggest drawback to MIG welding is that it can only be done outdoors if you are using flux core wire, as gas could be blown away and leave the weld unprotected. This is the most versatile type of welding. The final main type of welding I will be going over is TIG. Gas tungsten arc welding, or TIG welding, uses a non-consumable tungsten electrode to produce the weld. The weld is protected by a shielding gas and a filler material. This is the most common welding on thin alloy steel, stainless steel, or non-ferrous metals. TIG welding will produce the highest quality and most precise welds. It also allows for adjustment of the heat input while welding by use of a foot control. The biggest drawback of TIG welding is the complexity and speed of the weld, as this method is much slower than the others. This type of welding cannot be done outdoors. With this information, you should now be able to pick the best type of welding for your next project, big or small.